I'm going to go in with the Chanel foundation and Chanel concealer. I am in Conceal number 10 in the concealer and in 10 beige in the foundation, so the lightest shades. With being the fairest person ever, it's always nice to know that you're the lightest shade in everything. So I'm gonna really shake it. If you don't shake it, then I find that you get like a bunch of oil on the back of your hand, so I do really shake it. Before I go in with the foundation, I'm going to go in with a primer. This is the Lee Swatches primer. I'm just going to spread this out all over my complexion. It's going to help with redness, but it's also going to help keep the makeup on a little bit longer. I'm going to go in with the Professional primer, and I'm just going to put it in my T-zone area. So going in with the Chanel foundation, I'm just going to put a dollop on the back of my hand. I find that I use quite a bit of this foundation. A little bit does not go a long way. You need a lot of it to cover the full complexion. I'm just going to dot it all over my face, and then I'm going to go in and just blend it out with my beauty blender. So I have a light layer of the Chanel Aqua foundation all over my complexion. As you can tell, it really evens everything out, but it acts as my skin but better. It doesn't make my freckles go away. I can still see my freckles, but it does make my pores invisible. So I do really like it for that. I like that it looks just like my skin. You wouldn't recognize that I'm wearing a foundation unless you watch this video. But it also is a very beautiful coverage, but also a beautiful scent. If you are not a fragrant person, then you may not like the scent of this foundation. It smells like roses and like light and fresh and clean. On the complexion, you can't smell the fragrance. I really like this foundation. This is a foundation that I would repurchase. That does not happen often for me. I'm a type of person that wants to try something new every single time I go to the store. It is, I believe, $56 Canadian, but that's how much every high-end foundation is now. So I don't mind spending $56 on it. I would say that this is not going to last me a very long time. There's 1 fluid ounce, so that's pretty normal for a foundation. I have tried it out for the last couple weeks and I truly love it. It's great for someone who has a normal complexion. I would say if you're oily, you'd probably stay away from this foundation because it's probably going to move. But I love a foundation I don't have to set with a powder. This foundation's not tacky, it's not sticky, and it's very soft and smooth, and I would highly recommend it for a dry to normal complexion. Going in with the concealer now, I'm going to spread it out underneath my eyes and also do the tops of my eyelids. This is a concealer that is claiming to be full coverage, and I think it's true to its word. It is so full coverage, and I'm thoroughly impressed with it. I would say it's very similar to like a NARS Creamy Radiant Concealer, because that's up there on my list as well. As you can see, it covered it super well, super easy, and very creamy. It is not a concealer that's dry, so you can go in and apply both eyes and then blend them out seamlessly. What I'm going to do next is go in with my RMS translucent powder, and I'm just going to set my under eyes with it. This is an amazing setting powder. It feels like rice. I'm just going to go all the way underneath my eyes. This foundation and concealer is going to be something I'm going to repurchase. And that, like I mentioned, is very rare. I believe this concealer is $46, quite expensive, but a little bit goes a long way for the concealer at least. I'm going to go reapply the rest of my face, and then I'll be right back to talk to you a little bit more about the Chanel foundation and concealer. Okay, so my full face is done, and I'm back here just to finish up the video and explain to you guys why I love these guys so much. So I purchased mine from Morale. It is a Canadian beauty store, so I will have it linked down below for you on the Chanel and the Morale website so you guys can check it out. I would highly recommend them, like I mentioned, for dry to normal skin, not a combination to oily, just because I feel like it will move throughout the day. But as you guys can see on my complexion, it really just evens everything out. It doesn't emphasize pores. It doesn't counteract my bronzer and my blush that's there. It doesn't move. I can touch my complexion without it being tacky or sticky. I have went 12 hours wearing this foundation. It comes off a little bit on my nose by the end of the day, but other than that, it is such a great foundation. I would highly recommend it. Again, full coverage concealer and about a light to medium coverage foundation. I know I mentioned it to you guys on my Instagram about how much I love this foundation, so I wanted to share with you a tutorial and my review sooner rather than later because I know you guys were very curious about it. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial and the review of the Chanel foundation and concealer. Feel free to subscribe down below if you haven't already, and thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you soon.